assets in case they were needed. And when we went out with Newtown officers to search or to execute search warrants or to examine other possible secondary scenes, we took all those assets with us to ensure that they were right there immediately so that we could react if it was necessary. We'll work with them. We'll make it as smooth.
I don't have the exact timeline on that. Certainly officers responded immediately, and as soon as they realized what they had, we obviously asked for all the resources we could get. All right? Thank you. Anything, Paul?
Yeah, I think we're good. Let me just finish this. Let me just finish this. All right, what we're going to do is we'll come back.
You've been listening to Connecticut State Police brief the public about the horrific shooting that happened at an elementary school this morning in Connecticut. 26 victims dead, and the shooting suspect also dead this evening. Many of these children, 20 children, were victims as well.
I'm Rick Williams, along with Monica Malpass. It is certainly the deadliest day ever to take place inside of an elementary school in the United States. And that is our big story on Action News on this Friday night. The shooting in Connecticut that left 27 people dead, as Monica mentioned, including 20 elementary school students between the ages of 5 and 10 years old, as well as the gunman. It happened 60 miles northeast of New York City at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. Residents describe it as a small and quiet town. And tonight, the entire community is grieving. Correspondent Maribel Aber is in Newtown right now, and she filed this report.
Tragedy.
The president saying our hearts are broken today. And as more information continues to come out about this tragedy, we're still learning more about exactly who the shooter is. Action News reporter Eva Pilgrim is live in our newsroom with the very latest details on that.
That's
Eva.
right, Rick. We now know that the shooter is 20-year-old Adam Lanza. Connecticut State Police confirming he was found dead at the school. He apparently took his own life. We do know that his mother was a kindergarten teacher at Sandy Hook Elementary. She was among those found dead. The shooter's brother, 24-year-old Ryan Lanza, told police this afternoon that his younger brother is autistic or has Asperger's or a personality disorder. Now, doctors say these conditions are not associated with violent outbursts. The first 911 call came in about 30 minutes after school started. Law enforcement has confirmed the shooting took place in one section of the school building in 2 rooms. We also know he had several weapons with him, including a Glock semi-automatic handgun, a Sig Sauer semi-automatic handgun, and it appears he may have also had a rifle. .223 caliber shell casings were found there at the scene. We're continuing to sort through the details, information that's coming in about the shooter, and we will bring you the very latest coming up on Action News at 6. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Eva. Action News reporter David Henry's live outside Greenfield Elementary School in Center City tonight, where parents and children are reacting to this tragedy as well. David. More now on our breaking news story out of Connecticut. And just last month, this particular school in Connecticut did practice a safety drill in the event of an emergency. And that school's principal, who was killed in today's attack, talked about the drill on social media. Alicia Vitarelli joins us from the big board with that part of the story. Alicia.
And Monica, that teacher, that principal, 37-year-old Dawn Hotchung, tweeted this image, as you mentioned, just last month, of the students lined up outside. She said at the time it was a beautiful day to practice their emergency training and their safety drills outside the school. And her Twitter account is very haunting because she was so in love with all of the students there and all the beautiful images she would tweet, and this one in particular showing just how proud she was of them. But then when you compare it to the children today, as you can see, practicing exactly what they had learned from that safety drill just 1 month ago. This is just one of the images coming out of Newtown, Connecticut today that just continued to really tell the story, to paint the picture. This student here just in shock and getting consoled from somebody there at the school, one of the ones that we're certainly looking at today. And this one, I think, really is one of the ones that we've been looking at that tells the story of just what type of a scene and just how this was all playing out. And we will continue to monitor these tweets, and we have some firsthand accounts of people who were experiencing that situation and this tragedy here, and we'll bring those to you coming up later on Action News.
All right, Alicia, thank you. 23 minutes after the hour, we'll take another break and more news after this. Time Time now for AccuWeather at the Action News Big Board.
That's right. Meteorologist Cecily Tynan here with sort of a mixed bag this weekend weather-wise.
That's right. Definitely starting the weekend off dry. Satellite 6 along with Action Radar showing high pressure and control of our weather. That's what brought us all the sunshine. However, there is a system waiting in the wings. It's gathering some strength down near Texas, and this is what will be bringing us clouds and some rain for the second half of the weekend. The first half of the weekend will be dry. Future Tracker 6 showing heading through tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We'll see some high thin clouds, but we'll still see some filtered sunshine. Then heading into Sunday, it clouds up, and Sunday morning, the best chance of any precipitation will be across the northern Lehigh Valley and the Poconos. The Poconos could have a mixture of some freezing rain and some snow. And heading through the day, it's not going to be pouring rain all day long, but lots of clouds with occasional light rain and drizzle on Sunday. So definitely a damp and dreary second half of the weekend. The next 24 hours tonight, clear and chilly, a light breeze, overnight low 36 degrees. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine with some high clouds, a little bit cooler. Today's high 51. Tomorrow we drop down to 49 degrees. And as we look ahead on Sunday, it clouds up, some showers, 51 degrees. We keep those showers on Monday with a high of 53. Action News will continue after this.
Happy Hanukkah from 6 ABC.
You read it in the paper or see it in the news, you're like, oh my God, that poor family. And then you have something happen so close to home. It's like, I think I'm still in shock, to be honest with you.
Innocents lost in Connecticut. 26 victims shot and killed inside an elementary school. 20 of them were children, all killed by the hand of suspected shooter Adam Lanza, who did not make it out alive. And one of the victims, a teacher, is said to be his mother.
And our coverage does continue of the Connecticut school shooting for you this evening. We have team coverage as details of this tragedy continue to emerge.
That's right. Action News reporter John Rollins is standing by with local reaction tonight.
But first, let's get the very latest on the investigation itself. ABC's Mark Greenblatt will be joining us live from the scene in Newtown with an update. Here is what we know at this moment. Apparently about 9:30 this morning, a gunman walked into an elementary school, went to his own mother's classroom, a kindergarten teacher, with 4 weapons, apparently took out his mother, killing her. And we don't know the details, but many children in 2 adjoining classrooms were killed, along with 5 other adults. There is a second shooting scene. They're investigating that at this moment at a different location. And then the gunman is dead. We don't know if he for sure killed himself. That's our belief, but we have been told that he did not make it out alive either. Those are the current updated information details.
Get the latest from ABC's Mark Greenblatt live on the scene in Newtown, Connecticut tonight. Mark.
Good evening from Newtown, Connecticut, where the death toll continues to only rise.
Channel 6 Action News. Back to you all.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Well, tonight, experts are saying that the students and teachers at that school did exactly what they needed to do following the tragedy, and those actions got many other students out of the school safely.
That's right. Dale Yeager is a school security consultant. He's done training for incidents just like this. Dale, thanks for joining us tonight. We talked about this new security procedures, a new policy that this school ironically had implemented at the beginning of the year. What are some of your thoughts given this tragedy that took place in Connecticut earlier today?
Well, I read the policy. The policy is after the fact. It's not preventative. And this is part of the problem that we've seen with the 30,000 school clients that we have in the United States, that there are always policies after the fact, nothing for prevention.
And let's go to the phones right now, where a retired FBI agent is standing by to talk more with us about today's events in Connecticut.
He is Mike Carbonell. He used to run the Violent Crime Squad. Mike, thanks for joining us. Obviously, this investigation will take some time as they try to determine exactly what was the motive for this horrific tragedy today. What do you make of the events that you know of right now?
Well, obviously, it's a very, very, very sad, terrible time. But luckily enough, I've had the opportunity to work with several different agencies in the state of Connecticut, including the state police.
This gentleman here has been looking for his mother, who was also an employee at the school. Just very haunting, very chilling to follow these people as they live this. But again, we will continue to follow all of the posts, the pictures, the stories of a lot of these people as they continue to mourn the loss of their friends and their colleagues there in Newtown, Connecticut.
All right, thank you, Alicia. And that's it for us at 5 o'clock. We obviously will have continuing coverage throughout the evening, and Jim Gardner is standing by with the latest on the Connecticut school shootings for you.
Now for Adam Joseph, Cecily Tynan, and Jamie Apodi, Monica Malpass, the entire Action News team, I'm Rick Williams. Have a nice evening. Good night.
Follow Action News on Twitter @6ABC. Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Deuces Rogers, meteorologist Cecily Tynan, and Jim Gardner.
They had their entire lives ahead of them. Birthdays, graduations, weddings, kids of their own. Men and women who...
The words and tears of the President of the United States. It is rare to see a president cry, but the country is shedding tears tonight because of the terror that overtook an elementary school in Connecticut today. It is Friday night, and the big story on Action News tonight is a day of immense tragedy at a Connecticut school. A gunman shot and killed 26 people, including 18 children. The first call went out at 9:30 this morning at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, 60 miles northeast of New York City. The gunman's mother was a teacher's aide at the school. She was one of the 8 adults killed in the attack. Of the 20 children killed, 18 died at the school. 2 others were declared dead at the hospital. This was easily the worst shooting at an elementary, middle, or high school in American history. But the horror of it defies quantification or definition. Here is more from President Obama.
This evening, Michelle and I will do what I know every parent in America will do, which is hug our children a little tighter, and we'll tell them that we love them, and we'll remind each other how deeply we love one another. But there are families in Connecticut who cannot do that tonight, and they need all of us right now.
Still pictures from the scene portray better than anything we have seen the sheer terror of the event. And we also have heard from children and their parents.
We heard like lots of bangs, and we thought that it was the custodian knocking stuff down. We heard screaming.
You read it in the paper or see it in the news, you're like, oh my God, that poor family. And then you have something happen so close to home. It's like, I think I'm still in shock, to be honest with you.
The gunman, 20-year-old Adam Lanza, was a young man from Hoboken, New Jersey, but his identity has been a matter of confusion. He was first identified as 24-year-old Ryan Lanza, Adam's older brother. He has killed himself. Adam has. A girlfriend and another person are reported to be missing. There is also another fatality, a woman, unidentified, found at a nearby home. Action News reporter Chad Pradelli is live in Newtown tonight. Chad, what can you tell us from there?
Jim, it's an unspeakable tragedy. Newtown here is known for its tight-knit community, safety, and great schools. And there is a secondary crime scene, Jim, here in Connecticut. Officials say a body has been found there, but it's unclear to Adam Lanza. Also, state police in New Jersey are interviewing Lanza's older brother, Ryan. Like you mentioned, he is not considered a suspect. We'll have more on this story later tonight on later editions of Action.
All right, let me just explain
I'm in
before we
Newtown,
turn
Connecticut.
cameras.
Chad Pradelli, Channel 6 Action News. Jim?
Thank you, Chad. Chad Pradelli is broadcasting on his iPad from Newtown, and so the signal may not have been perfect, but we did get his report, and we're appreciative of that. New Jersey correspondent Nora Mushanek is in Hoboken tonight, just outside New York, the home of the gunman Adam Lanza. She is broadcasting on her iPhone. Nora filed this report.
We're on Grand Street in Hoboken.
Parents rushed to the shooting scene today. One father described being reunited with his children.
They were immediately crying, petrified of what happened and what did it mean. My son was in the gym when it happened, so I think that they heard the gunshots, and so it's they were both. I think it's going to be one of those things where they're trying to understand what happened, and when we tell them ultimately what happened in details, I think it's going to make it much worse.
As that father described, the conversation between parents and children after a tragedy like this can be a difficult one. We are joined by health reporter and registered nurse Allie Gorman. Allie, countless parents in our area are trying to figure out exactly how they should or should not talk to their children about what happened in Connecticut. You've talked to a psychologist. What have you learned?
I did. It's an important conversation, but you're right. It depends on how old that child is. We know that kids, even here locally, have probably seen the images on TV or on the internet, and they may be frightened by it. Experts say it is the parents' job to reassure your children, let them know that they're safe, but also validate their feelings.
Coming to pick up their students. One person actually tweeted earlier today that they were waiting outside and some parents went in to retrieve their children, and some parents came out with some very horrifying news today. And finally, you see here just some of the scenes as the students made their way off of that campus. And we will continue to monitor this situation as all of these big news events have played out on social media, just one large virtual community together. Jim.
Thank you, Alicia. Ironically, I talked to President Barack Obama just yesterday about gun violence, and his comments are next on Action News Tonight. Before these brutal events today, I asked President Barack Obama about gun violence during my one-on-one interview with him yesterday at the White House. My focus was on gun violence in cities like Philadelphia, but his comments certainly resonate on a day like today. I asked if he as president can do something to stem the tide of increasing gun violence.
Well, I think the first thing is to try to convene a conversation with all the stakeholders, law enforcement, church groups, politicians, the NRA, get everybody in a room together. And let's talk about what makes sense. Because if you talk to most gun owners, I'm a believer in the Second Amendment. They're responsible, they have it for safety, maybe they have it for sport. And if you say to them, shouldn't we make sure that we keep these guns out of the hands of criminals? Shouldn't we make sure that, you know, we're keeping them out of the hands of gangbangers? Shouldn't we make sure that basic safety rules are put into place? The overwhelming majority of them will say yes. And so I want to work with the mayors, I want to work with local officials, I want to work with law enforcement and the families of victims who've been affected.
We also talked a little about politics, and I wanted to know about what has been perceived as Obama's bromance with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and the sentiment among some Republicans that it did have an impact on the election. I have to ask you, what does it feel like to be bear hugged by Chris Christie?
You know, I actually have a great personal relationship with Governor Christie. Obviously, our politics are different. He and I disagree on some things.
When you held that joint news conference after you toured the devastation of Sandy, he said, "I cannot thank the president enough for his personal concern and compassion. It has been very good working with the president and his administration." Now, here was the keynote speaker from the Mitt Romney Republican National Convention saying these things about you. As you stood there and heard these words, did it occur to you that maybe some folks in the Mitt Romney camp were a tad upset?
Well, you know what? I think that, keep in mind, we had just done a tour where people had lost everything. And in that context, I think a lot of this stuff goes away. But what this illustrates is that, you know, when people set politics aside, the truth is what separates us isn't that much.
It is interesting how the only thing anybody in Washington was talking about yesterday was the fiscal cliff. Today, tragically, the conversation has changed. And Action News continues in just a moment. AccuWeather forecast, Cecily Tynan.
And Jim, a dry start to the weekend. It's not going to stay that way, though. Storm Tracker 6 3D live scanning the region and showing no rain out there. Temperatures made it up to 51 degrees today after 2 days stuck in the 40s. And Satellite 6, along with Action Radar, showing high pressure still in control here. However, if you look out to the west, you see clouds building through the Midwest and a storm system developing over Texas. That will be moving in on Sunday. So Future Tracker 6 showing tomorrow good amount of sunshine. We'll see some high thin clouds filtering in the afternoon, but generally a pretty decent day weather-wise. On Sunday, it clouds up in the morning, could have some frozen precipitation in the Poconos, and then through the day, we're looking at waves of light rain and drizzle, really a cloudy, damp day. So for tonight, it'll be clear, it'll be chilly with a light breeze, overnight low 28 in the suburbs, 36 for Center City, and the exclusive AccuWeather 7-day forecast for your Saturday. Sun with some high thin clouds mixed in, a little bit cooler than today with a high of 49 degrees. On Sunday, it clouds up, dark and damp with light rain and drizzle, 51 degrees. Monday, it stays unsettled, 53 degrees. Monday night into Tuesday morning, some more rain, mostly cloudy, 55 degrees. That's what the system that originally looked like it'd be hitting us on Wednesday, but now Wednesday should be dry, breezy and cooler, 48 degrees. Thursday, increasing clouds ahead of our next system with a high of 46 degrees. And Friday, another storm that will bring us rain with a high of 46.
No secret among us, this has been a very difficult day for you. Newtown, Connecticut is your childhood home.
Yeah, I was born and raised there. I went through the public school system. Part of Newtown, Connecticut, the reason why you moved there, my parents moved there in the 60s, is because nothing happened there. You know, it was a quiet town, known for having a flagpole in the middle of Main Street, known for its great schools. And growing up there, I used to complain that Newtown was so boring, that nothing happened there. So it's been kind of a tough day.
Well, hopefully that boredom will eventually take place.
It's going to take some time.
It will take some time. You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, World News Tonight is next on Channel 6. Tonight's broadcast will be extended to 1 hour to bring you the latest developments in the Connecticut school shooting that killed 20 children today. Diane Sawyer and a team of reporters are in Newtown, Connecticut, and that is next. Action News continues tonight at 10 on PHL 17 with Brian Taft, Shirlene Allicott, Adam Joseph, and Deuces Rogers. And then please join us for Action News at 11 here on Channel 6. For Cecily Tynan, Deuces Rogers, the entire Action News team, I'm Jim Gardner. We hope you'll join us at 11.
Action News is sponsored in part by Jefferson at the Navy Yard, near the major highways and Jersey bridges, where parking is free and some of the area's best doctors are ready to see you. Call 1-800-JEFF-NOW for an appointment.